of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, at a prayer breakfast today.
And lest we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. It is not unique to one group or one religion. There is a tendency in us, a sinful tendency that can pervert and distort our faith.
Was that in a part of the apology tour on behalf of ISIS?
Here's the point.
Yeah.
President Obama is absolutely right. However, he's talking about the 1100s. That's his defense. He had to find an example from 1,000 years ago. A guy was set on fire 2 days ago, and our president says, well, you know, we did bad things 1,000 years ago. He needs to leave the White House and go back to a sit-in, because that is pure grad school activist lunacy, relativistic BS. It's absolutely embarrassing. Meanwhile, we have the real Air Jordan fighting, flying sorties. It makes him look so small.
Well, you know, the problem was, I mean, historically, we should say that the worst time in the world to say it. I mean,
yes, that's what it is.
The timing of this is unbelievable. The other thing is, I'm going to take something back here, and to my friend Eric. I noticed that Jordanians flew over 100 sorties in the first day out. And found targets, apparently. I hope they were targets. So I probably underestimated the number of targets there were for us to hit. So
we're going to get Shep in the next block.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes President Obama will say something, and it kind of percolates a little bit, and you wait. And all of a sudden, a couple of days later, everyone kind of realizes what he said. When he said those comments this morning, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, because I know this is one that's going to go down. That's going to follow him throughout the rest of his presidency and throughout his legacy, because he didn't just go over the line. He pole vaulted over the line on that. He went back, as Greg points out, 1,100 years, whatever it is, and used an example of Christians, and then in the same breath kind of explained why we need to at least consider what the Muslim terrorists are doing, killing people, beheading people, burning people alive. To mention those in the same statement reminds me of when the NBC analyst, remember Chris Kyle? There was this whole issue, and he said something like, well, some would say Chris Kyle was probably racist.
And on killing sprees.
And went on killing sprees. Well, just by saying that, you put those two together. President Obama now has put Christianity with radical Muslim Islamists who are burning children, killing children, burying them alive. This will haunt him for the rest of his life, I think. I'm just appalled. Bob, you have to at least say, this is one he really stepped in.
I just did say that, but I also think that you keep in mind the audience was the most evangelical Christian gathering of any place in the year. If there was one place I would decide not to make that statement, it would be there.
Do you want to say something? Okay. The fact that there are some Muslim spokesmen who opposed the burning of the pilot on religious grounds is not comforting at all, because it implies if their religion had allowed it, so would they. So when he's talking about problems, he's got to focus on the contemporary radical Islamic element and the fact that Islam is okay with it. And don't bring in this other garbage.
He's making excuses. I'm going to get CNN.
I'm sorry, Dana.
No, that's okay.
One quick observation. He will not, President Obama and the administration will not say Muslim extremists. They just will not put those two words together. Yet, they'll say Christianity. He just indicted the whole Christian faith from 1,000 years with something that happened
Kind of did.
Yes,
I don't know, Bob.
I don't know.
He didn't talk about certain groups of Christians.
Yeah, but this is the same president that said if Muslims come under attack, that he will stand with them. So, I mean, this to me makes actually a perfect sense.
He can say Christian. Like Marilyn Manson. He can burn a Bible, but not a Quran.
The thing to say here was, back 1,000 years ago, Nero burned Christians on the way into Rome, right?
Yeah.
And look at that. Look, now we've got these terrible people doing this. And the Christians were persecuted. So
he just doesn't get it.
It kind of reminds me of, I'm just going off the top of my head here, but you know, Bob, you say that in relationships, one of the things that drove you crazy when you were married was getting into an argument with your wife, and then issues from the past would come back up. And it's like that. I was like, well, 1,100 years ago, you did not pick up your socks.
Yes.
But this is the president, too. Keep in mind that after an American was beheaded, James Fuller, he went and continued laughing and carrying on about his day. 12 minutes later, golfing.
Six.
When you took 6. Okay, well, dispute
Well, yeah,
about time.
Yeah, the whole indictment.
That's the problem here. So, I mean, it's embarrassing. He doesn't seem to be taking this seriously. And the juxtaposition, yes, Bob,
Okay.
between our president and King Abdullah is really
I
just
agree with that,
remarkable.
but I wouldn't say he wasn't taking it seriously.
Well, he's not taking it seriously enough.
I wrote a piece that's up on FoxNews.com on this because it infuriated me. And I ended it with the line, and I had to change the line because they thought it was too outrageous. People thought it was too much, too far, going too far. I said, and I'm going to say what the line is now. It says, after all, Mr. President, you're a Christian too. I changed it to that because originally it said something else. I'm not going to say what it said originally, but
All right.
no, I have to say, to stand up in front of Christians and indict the whole Christian faith the way he did today, as a Christian, as a practicing Christian Catholic, I'm outraged.
I just think